Hey everyone, and welcome back to Joey's Retro Newscast, where I go over the top news of the last week in retro handhelds, retro gaming, and just gaming in general. Happy Thanksgiving to all of my American friends here. Was it yesterday? Is it today? Is it the entire week? Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. I was not prepared for this week's newscast. I am sick, not feeling well, so if I sound a little bit off, that is the reason, for this week at least. A little bit different than my normal nasally voice. It is just sick this time, plus nasally. But I honestly thought that today, the day that I'm recording, was the day before. So I thought that today, which is Thursday, was actually Wednesday. And while Wednesday, the real Wednesday, was going on, I was thinking about how I was going to spend the next day just setting up the newscast. And so I basically scrambled to get this newscast done because I am a day behind and just lost, apparently. So, yeah. Special thanks to my wife who reminded me that today was a newscast, or else we wouldn't have had one. So, love her. Thank you to her for this one. But just on that note, it is December. There is not a lot of news to talk about. There's going to be even less news as we go along. And of course, I'm going to be on vacation and all that sort of thing. So just be aware there might not be a lot of newscasts in December, but we still have this one. So let's get to it. This is likely not going to make Nintendo happy at all, but there's a new feature in the upcoming 3DS collaboration emulator, Azahar, and you'll be able to download your own games and updates and demos and things like that from the actual Nintendo eShop through the emulator. This is both a really cool feature and also a scary one because Nintendo already had their eyes on Citra due to the whole Yuzu situation, and it ended up including Citra, although Citra wasn't the problem. But this might paint a target on their backs. I don't know. We'll see. But it's a cool feature. Just hoping it doesn't poke the bear. But then again, if you worry about the bear every single time you make a move, then there's that whole thing. So good on them for implementing a feature, and we'll see what this looks like. I am very, very excited for this new Azahar emulator, and I hope it's good. This week's question of the week is, what are you playing? Pretty simple, but what game or games are you currently playing? How far along are you? Do you like it? Are you having fun? All that sort of thing. So I'm curious to know what you're playing. And obviously, since I'm asking the question, I have games that I'm playing too. I shared it in my last video, which was this week, that I'm currently making my way through the Retro Achievements Top 100 list. And I'm a few spots down now, but I'm working on Super Mario 64 on Nintendo 64, of course, and Link to the Past, Zelda, on SNES. Now, for Zelda, or Link to the Past, I forgot how much I need a guide for Zelda games, especially Link to the Past. I can't remember the last Zelda game that I was able to play through without needing help or a guide. Like, I had Ocarina of Time when it first came out, and I remember calling a friend to be like, hey, how do you get past this part? And so, yeah, Link to the Past, very much the same way. You have to, if you're not paying attention so close, you need some help. And so I've been using guides to get through it, but it is still as good as I remember it. Super Mario 64 is similar, not as much that I need a phone for a lot of the stars, but some stars you're like, all right, what do I do here? Like my live stream where I couldn't figure out how to get the break the wall one, and then I figured that one out. But like games like that where you just need it occasionally just to help you, that's awesome. But Super Mario 64 is still as good as I remember that too, and I'm having a lot of fun playing both these games. Let's jump over into device news now, and they are making some changes to the AYN Odin 2 portal. The shoulder buttons will have some textures added, so just a bit better of a feel, and there's a new grip coming. That's going to be a separate purchase or separate item, and that'll have textured shoulders as well. They're going to be selling this new grip alongside the Odin 2 portal for those that have any ergonomic concerns and things like that. Now, I've been on record, I don't watch other reviews, other videos, things like that, so I'm not sure exactly what the issue is here, but I can glean, of course, that there is some sort of ergonomic concern or things like that. And I guess we'll see once I get it in my hands, which is probably in the next, hopefully, few weeks. I don't want to have to work through Christmas on an Odin 2 portal review, but we'll see when it actually comes, and then I can give my thoughts on the ergonomics and comfort and all of that, because that's one of my top priorities. So it's something that I always put a lot of effort into thinking about or considering. But also, ergonomics and comfort are subjective. They are different based on the person. Some people could say that a device is comfortable where I think it is absolutely not comfortable, and so on, and vice versa, and all of that. So I really wish they would have sent a second device to basically anybody, anyone in the world, I don't care who it was, just to get a second point of reference on the ergonomic concerns and feedback to see if it is actually something like that, or if it's just a single concern. We don't know, but we should know more in a little bit. And the only thing that really changed is we get an extra grip, which is cool. So if you want a grip, that's awesome. I don't want to live in a world where a 400-ish US dollar item needs a grip. I think at that point, I want to make sure that the ergonomics are good from the factory instead of needing an add-on for it. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Speaking of AYN, they are having a Black Friday sale right now. It's $20 off the Odin 2 and Odin 2 Mini. It's $50 off the Odin and Odin Lite. There's a free screen protector and carrying case for any of the orders and the dates that you can place it. And I'll have a link in the description to check all of this out if you want to purchase any. Not to be outdone by AYN, Retroid is also having a sale. Retroid Pocket 2S is $79 US. That is an absolute steal and I highly recommend it. Not sure what colors are still left, but that is the best sub $100 handheld that you can purchase, and if you don't have one, buy it. The other sales are alright. I'm not sure I would recommend any of them at this point in time, but they are available if you were looking at any of the other options. You get a free screen protector here as well, of course, if you want one. But once again, link in the description if you want to purchase anything. Heading over into game news now, or game-ish news, Sony is working on developing a portable handheld that can actually play PlayStation 5 games. Now, this isn't extremely new. We've seen this rumor before, but it pops up again now and then just to remind us. Now, I gave my thoughts on the Xbox handheld when we talked about that a few weeks back, and my general thoughts on Xbox is they are trying and focusing on being multi-platform. They don't care about exclusives. They don't care about any of that. The problem with that in a handheld version is that we have handhelds that can already play Xbox games or whatever Xbox releases. So when you talk about releasing an Xbox handheld, and we'll get to PlayStation in a second, they are more of just another option. It is another Steam Deck. It is another ROG Ally with probably a different user interface and probably a lot more locked down. But we'll have to see what is specific to the Xbox handheld that makes it worth it over the other options, because it's not going to be games. It has to be some other features or other options that will make you say, hey, I want an Xbox handheld over the ROG Ally or a Steam Deck. But that's not the case for the general public, and we'll talk about that in a second too. Now, Sony and PlayStation are a bit different, or quite a bit different, than Microsoft, in my opinion. They are more comparable to Nintendo and what the Switch is doing. The Nintendo Switch has exclusives. You can't get those games elsewhere, and no, don't talk about Yuzu. You just can't. So when you want to play Nintendo games, you are buying their Switch handheld, and that is how you are playing them. For Sony and PlayStation, when you want to play PlayStation games, you have to buy their console for day one at least, up to at least a year or two ahead of time when they start to put it on PC and all of that, but there is a delayed exclusivity for their hardware. So when Sony puts out a handheld, it is very different here. And especially since this one is supposed to play PlayStation 5 games, it's a whole different scenario because now that is a selling point. It is a big selling point. I want to play PlayStation 5 exclusives. I don't want to be tethered to the internet. So yeah, I'm going to buy a PlayStation 5 handheld. That is what consumers think. And the moment that you tell them, hey, here is FIFA, here is NHL, here is NBA, here is any sports game, here's Call of Duty, and it's in a handheld, and it is made by Sony or Microsoft, that is a whole different market than what we're used to. There is a lot of people out there that play video games. It's an even smaller amount that own an ROG Ally or a Steam Deck. But the moment that the big players, Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, do handhelds, yeah, that is different. And Nintendo's already done it. You've already seen it. So Microsoft and Sony are smart, and they're like, yeah, I want that money too. Long story short, a PlayStation handheld is easily more marketable than an Xbox handheld, although it'll be interesting to see what this all looks like in a few years once these start to come out, because the handheld market will shift. When we have these big players, all three of them in this market, And depending on how open the Xbox handheld is, or even the Sony one, which the Sony one probably will not be, that changes up a lot of things when it comes to the Steam Deck, the ROG Ally, all of those companies that are making those kinds of handhelds. And now everybody's doing them. Zotac, MSI, all of that. So yeah, it's really going to become about, well, what separates you feature-wise from the other handhelds. And PlayStation has exclusives. Microsoft has to think of something. Nintendo has exclusives. What is everybody else going to do? I'm excited and I'm here for more handheld options. Obviously, just give them to me. I think the one thing I want to see is not just handhelds. I want to see you dock them to a eGPU type solution. How awesome would it be if you could take the Switch 2 on the go, dock it, and suddenly you get the power of an eGPU type connection there for when you're docked at home. So it goes to 4K instead of 1080 on the go. All that sort of thing. I'd love to see more people or companies develop into that, because I think that is probably how the future is going to be. It's not going to be just home console. It's probably going to be some sort of handheld hybrid that you can dock and hopefully get more power out of it, because that'd be cool. That's what I want to see. The Witcher 4 has started production, the Witcher 4 video game, and as somebody who still hasn't finished Witcher 3, you can take your time, as much time as you need. I'll finish The Witcher 3 at some point, but Witcher 4 is coming. The Steam sale is live, and there is a ton of games on sale. Now, I'm trying to be a good little boy and only purchase a single game this sale, and that one was Master Detective Archives Raincoat. It is made by the Danganronpa creators, minds, whatever. The people behind Danganronpa made this game. It's got the same sort of art style and same kind of feel to it. It's not the same game, but either way, absolutely wanted to play this. I had it on Switch and I wanted to play it here. So I grabbed that. But I'm curious, what did you grab? What have you found on sale? Anything that we should be looking at? And yeah, like my last video said, stop buying handhelds, start playing games. So let's get to it. What games you got? In a very weird collaboration, Pal World and Terraria are going to collaborate on something. I have no idea what, but it's coming. They teased it a little bit on Twitter, and yeah, so if you're interested in that, keep an eye out. Appreciate you all for watching, and that's all from me, St. John's.